The dinner party was in full swing when Sarah's friend Emma leaned across the table with that mischievous glint in her eye, the one that always preceded trouble. "I dare you," Emma said, her wine glass dangling from her fingers, "to pretend to break up with Marcus. Right now, in front of all of us." The table erupted in giggles. It was girls' night at our apartment, something Sarah hosted monthly. I'd retreated to my home office, giving them space, but I could hear everything through the thin walls. I'd been working on my novel, the one I'd been writing for 3 years, the one Sarah called my little hobby. "That's mean," Sarah protested, but I could hear the smile in her voice. "Come on," Rachel chimed in. "You're always saying how Marcus is so serious about everything. Let's see if Mr. Novelist can take a joke." I heard chairs scraping, footsteps approaching my office. I looked up from my laptop as Sarah opened the door, her friends crowding behind her in the hallway, phones out and recording. "Marcus," Sarah said, her voice artificially flat. "We need to talk." I saved my document and turned to face her. "What's up?" "I can't do this anymore." She crossed her arms and I noticed her struggling not to smile. This relationship. "It's over." Behind her, her friends were barely containing their laughter. Emma had her hand over her mouth. Rachel was shaking silently. Something cold settled in my chest. We'd been together for 6 years, married for 2. Things hadn't been perfect lately. My writing consumed most of my free time, and Sarah had been distant, constantly out with friends. "But this, you're serious?" I asked quietly. "Completely." She turned to her friends, and that's when she lost it. She laughed, a genuine, full-bodied laugh that her friends immediately joined. "Oh my God, your face. You should see your face." Emma was doubled over. "This is priceless. We got you so good." Rachel shrieked. I looked at Sarah, really looked at her, at the tears of laughter in her eyes, at the way she high-fived Emma, at how she didn't notice or didn't care that I hadn't laughed once. "That's the dare?" I asked. "To fake break up with me?" "It's just a joke, Marcus. Lighten up." Sarah wiped her eyes. "You're always so intense about everything." I nodded slowly. "Okay, see?" Sarah turned back to her friends. "He's fine. Now who's next?" "Rachel, I dare you to—" "I closed my laptop. Where are you going?" Sarah asked as I stood up. "You said it's over." I pulled my overnight bag from the closet. "I'm respecting your decision." "Oh, come on. Don't be dramatic. It was a joke, was it?" I started packing, laptop, charger. The manuscript pages I kept in my desk. "My grandfather's watch. Marcus, seriously, stop." Sarah's laughter had died now. "You're being ridiculous." Her friends had gone quiet in the hallway. I packed methodically. Clothes, toiletries, the flash drive with all my writing, my passport, the money I kept in my desk drawer for emergencies, $3,000 I'd saved from freelance editing jobs. "Where are you even going to go?" Sarah demanded. "Does it matter?" I zipped the bag. "You ended it." "You laughed while doing it?" In front of an audience. Message received. It was a dare, a stupid game. I looked at her then, really looked at her. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. You thought our relationship was worth using as entertainment. You thought my feelings were worth laughing at. That tells me everything I need to know. You're overreacting." Her voice had risen, panic creeping in. "Tell him he's overreacting." Her friends said nothing. Emma had put her phone away. Rachel looked at the floor. I walked past them all, bag over my shoulder. "Marcus," Sarah grabbed my arm. "Don't leave. Not like this. I'm sorry, okay?" It was stupid. "I'm sorry. So am I." I gently removed her hand. "Goodbye, Sarah. Don't you dare walk out that door." I walked out the door. Behind me, I heard Emma whisper, "Sarah, what did you do?" I didn't look back. The first week, my phone rang 37 times. I counted. I'd checked into a cheap motel on the edge of town, the kind where they didn't ask questions if you paid cash. Room 14, with its flickering fluorescent light and the smell of old cigarettes embedded in the carpet. It wasn't home, but that was the point. Sarah's calls came in waves. First angry. How dare I embarrass her like that, make her look bad in front of her friends, be so immature. Those voicemails I deleted without listening to the end. Then confused. Why wasn't I answering? Didn't I understand it was just a joke? Couldn't we talk about this like adults? Those I listened to completely, waiting for the words that never came. Not once did she say she understood why I'd left. Not once did she acknowledge that what she'd done was cruel. Finally, desperate. She missed me. She was sorry. Please come home. We could work this out. But even those apologies felt hollow, like she was sorry for the consequences, not the action. I never answered. Not once. My brother Tom found me on day 8. He'd always had a talent for tracking people down. She called me, he said, sitting on the edge of my motel bed while I worked on my laptop. She's worried. Your friends are worried. Even your editor called. My editor? That surprised me. Yeah, something about a deadline. Tom glanced at my screen. Still writing, I see. More than ever. And it was true. In the past week, I'd written more than I had in the previous 6 months. The words poured out of me like bleeding a wound. Every hurt, every humiliation, every moment I'd felt small in my own relationship. It all went onto the page. Tom was quiet for a moment. You going to tell me what happened? I told him everything, the dare, the laughter, the audience. The way Sarah hadn't even noticed she'd broken something irreparable until it was too late. Jesus, Tom breathed when I finished. And she hasn't figured out why you're really upset? She thinks I'm punishing her, being petty. I saved my document, 22,000 words now. The story was taking shape. She doesn't understand that I'm not angry. I'm just done. Are you? Done? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Yeah, I am. Tom nodded slowly. So what's the plan? That's when I told him. About the cabin our uncle had left us in Colorado. About the savings I had. Enough to last 6 months if I was careful. About the novel that was finally coming together. I need to disappear for a while, I said. Finish this book. Figure out who I am without her. Can you help me? The cabin's half yours anyway. Tom stood up. I'll drive you up this weekend. But Marcus, you should probably talk to a lawyer first. I hired the lawyer on day 10. Her name was Patricia Chen, and she had kind eyes but a spine of steel. She listened to my story without judgment. Do you want to try counseling? She asked. Many couples recover from no. The word came out harder than I intended. I want a divorce. Clean, fair, no drama. She can have the apartment, the furniture, whatever. I just want out. Patricia nodded. I'll draft the papers. The papers arrived at our apartment on day 14. Sarah called me 53 times that day. I know because I finally turned my phone off and later counted the missed calls. She left one voicemail I did listen to. Just one. You sent divorce papers. Her voice was hollow, shocked. You actually sent divorce papers? Over a joke, Marcus. Over a stupid joke. How can you throw away 6 years over one mistake? How can you be this cruel? I saved that voicemail. Listened to it twice. She still didn't get it. Maybe she never would. Tom drove me to Colorado on day 17. The cabin was small, isolated, perfect. No internet. No cell service unless you drove 15 minutes to the main road. Just mountains, silence, and time. You sure about this? Tom asked as he helped me unload boxes. Running away won't solve everything. I'm not running away. I looked at the mountains, breathed in air that didn't taste like failure. I'm running toward something. There's a difference. Tom hugged me before he left. Call me when you can. And Marcus, finish the damn book. I finished it in 4 months. It poured out of me like a fever breaking. Every morning I woke with the sunrise, made terrible coffee on the ancient stove, and wrote until my fingers cramped. The story of a man who loved a woman who didn't understand the weight of her own words. A woman who laughed while breaking his heart. A man who walked away and discovered himself in the silence. I called it When She Laughed While Leaving. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday. Patricia called me. I'd driven to town for supplies to tell me it was done. Sarah had signed everything without contest. The apartment was hers. The furniture was hers. The life we'd built was hers. I felt nothing. Just a distant relief. She wanted me to give you a message, Patricia said carefully. She said she finally understands. And she's sorry. Okay, I said, that's it? Just okay? What else is there to say? I finished the novel on a Friday in late autumn. Typed the last sentence, saved it, backed it up 3 times and sat staring at the screen. New York City was a shock to the system after 5 months in the mountains. Too many people, too much noise, too much everything. But my editor, Margaret, had insisted I come in person. You can't submit something like this via email, she'd said when I'd finally sent her the manuscript. We need to talk face to face. I'd been working with Margaret for 3 years on my previous novel. A quiet literary piece about family dysfunction that had gone nowhere. She'd stuck with me, though. Believed in my voice even when no one was buying it. The coffee shop she'd chosen in the village was cramped and noisy. She was already there when I arrived, my manuscript printed and annotated in front of her. Marcus. She stood and hugged me, then held me at arm's length. You look different. I feel different, it was true. I'd lost 20 pounds in the mountains, not from deprivation, but from forgetting to eat when the words were flowing. My hair was longer. I'd grown a beard, but the real changes were deeper, invisible. We sat. She pushed the manuscript toward me. This, Margaret said, is the best thing you've ever written. It's raw, it's honest, it's devastating. I cried 3 times reading it, but I could hear it coming, but it's also a risk. It's autobiographical, clearly. Your ex-wife, if she reads this, she'll know it's about her. Are you prepared for that? I'd thought about this. Thought about it through long mountain nights with only the stars for company. The names are changed. Details are altered. It's fiction based on truth, not truth itself. Fiction based on truth can still be sued. Can she sue me for telling my own story? Margaret smiled grimly. In America, anyone can sue anyone. The question is whether she'd win. Patricia, your lawyer, should review it. But Marcus, legal issues aside, are you sure you want to do this? Once this is published, there's no taking it back. Your pain becomes public. I thought about Sarah laughing, about her friends recording, about the way my hurt had been entertainment. Someone else might need this story, I said quietly. Someone else might need to know they're not crazy for walking away, that their feelings matter, that they deserve better. Margaret nodded slowly. Okay then, let's sell this book. She sold it in 4 days. 5 publishing houses bid. The advance was more money than I'd made in my entire life. More than that, they wanted a 2-book deal. They believed in me. I called Tom from my hotel room, hands shaking. They want to publish it, I said. They're going to publish it, Tom. My brother whooped loud enough that I had to pull the phone away from my ear. I knew it. I knew you could do it when. They want to fast-track it. 10 months. They think it could be big. It was big. Bigger than anyone predicted. The book launched on a rainy Tuesday in September, exactly 1 year after I'd walked out of that apartment. Margaret had warned me that debut novels usually died quiet deaths, but when she laughed while leaving, caught fire. First, a prominent book blogger reviewed it. A masterclass in emotional honesty, she wrote. This is what happens when hurt transforms into art. Then a morning show picked it up for their book club. The host cried on air while discussing the ending. Social media exploded. Suddenly, everyone was talking about the moment Marcus, my protagonist, the me that wasn't quite me, walked out that door, about the courage it took, about the quiet devastation of being someone's joke. When she laughed started trending. People shared their own stories of being dismissed, belittled, laughed at by people who claimed to love them. The book became bigger than itself. It became a movement. 3 months after publication, I got the call. You're on the New York Times bestseller list, Margaret said, her voice crackling with excitement. Number 7. And Marcus, you're going up. I peaked at number 2. Stayed in the top 10 for 43 weeks. The interview requests were endless. Everyone wanted to know, was it real? Was she real? Did she ever apologize? I gave the same answer every time. It's fiction. The emotions are real, but the story is mine to tell however serves it best. But people knew. The internet always knows. Someone found Sarah's social media, dormant since our divorce, found her friends' accounts, matched the timeline. Reddit did what Reddit does. I never confirmed anything, but I didn't have to. The email came on a Wednesday morning, 2 years and 3 months after I'd walked out of that apartment. It was from an address I didn't recognize. Email protected. The subject line was empty. I almost deleted it as spam. Marcus, I know you probably won't read this. I know I have no right to contact you. But I need to say some things even if you never respond. I read your book. Of course I read your book. Everyone's read your book. I knew it was about us before I finished the first chapter. The way you described her, the way you described me was so accurate it hurt. You were right. About all of it, it took me a long time to understand. After you left, I was angry, then confused, then hurt. I told everyone you overreacted, that you were sensitive, that you threw away everything over nothing. I believed it. I needed to believe it, but then I read what you wrote, saw our relationship through your eyes. Saw myself through your eyes. God, Marcus, was I really that cruel? That dismissive? That blind? The answer is yes, I was. And I'm sorry. I'm so deeply, terribly sorry. Not because you wrote a book about it. Not because the internet figured out it was me, but because I hurt you and I never even noticed I was doing it. Emma told me something after you left. She said when they were all laughing, she saw your face. She said you looked like something in you died. She felt sick about it afterward, but I dismissed her. I thought she was being dramatic. She wasn't. You weren't. I was the one who couldn't see reality. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that I understand now. I understand why you left, why you stayed silent, why you had to disappear to find yourself again. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you're successful. I'm glad you found your voice. I'm just sorry it took losing me to find it. I hope you're happy. Sarah, I read it 3 times, saved it. Closed my laptop. Tom found me sitting on my apartment balcony, a nice place in Brooklyn, nothing fancy but mine, staring at the city. You okay? He handed me a beer. Sarah emailed me. Shit, what did she say? I told him. He listened quietly the way he always did. So, he finally asked, how do you feel? I don't know, and that was true. I felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no vindication. Just a quiet acknowledgement. It's the apology I wanted 2 years ago. But now you don't need it anymore. Yeah. We drank in silence for a while. Are you going to respond? Tom asked. I thought about it. About Sarah reading my book, finally understanding. About her having to live with being the villain in a bestseller, even though I'd never named her. About internet detectives and social media judgment and the weight of public opinion. Part of me, a small, petty part, felt she deserved it. But the larger part, the part that had healed in the mountains and grown through writing, just felt tired. I don't think so, I said. What's left to say? She understands now. That's enough. But I did respond eventually. 3 days later, I sent a single line. I hope you're happy too. And I hope you never laugh at someone's pain again. She replied immediately, I won't, I promise. Thank you. That was our last communication. I archived the emails and moved on. The second book came easier than the first. Margaret had been nervous. Sophomore slumps were real, and following up a massive hit was always difficult. But The Silence After was ready 6 months ahead of schedule. It was about healing, about finding yourself in solitude, about learning that being alone wasn't the same as being lonely. Critics called it a worthy successor. It debuted at #1. I did a book tour, 40 cities in 3 months. Every night someone in the audience would stand up during Q&A and share their own story. The job that dismissed them, the partner who belittled them, the family member who made them the punchline, and how they'd finally found the courage to walk away. Those moments made everything worth it. Every painful memory, every lonely night in the cabin, every word I'd bled onto the page. Worth it if it helped someone else feel less alone. In Portland, a woman approached me after the signing. She was holding my first book, dog-eared and annotated. I left my husband because of this, she said, tears in her eyes. He wasn't abusive. He wasn't even mean. But he made me feel small every single day, and I thought that was normal. Your book showed me it wasn't, thank you. I hugged her. Thank you for having the courage. Did your wife, did Sarah, ever really apologize? I smiled. She did, actually. 2 years too late, but she did. Did it help? Not as much as writing the book did. Healing isn't something someone else can give you. It's something you have to build yourself. She nodded, understanding, and walked away. That night in my hotel room, I started planning the third book. 4 years after I walked out that door, I stood in the same apartment building. Different unit, the penthouse this time, which I'd bought with book royalties. Different perspective, different man. I'd come back to New York permanently after years of splitting time between the cabin and the city. The mountains would always be where I found my voice, but the city was where I'd learned to use it. Margaret called it full circle. I called it closure. The building had changed. New doorman, renovated lobby, but the bones were the same. Sometimes I'd pass the door to Sarah's old apartment. She'd moved out a year ago. I'd heard through mutual friends who'd slowly drifted back into my life and feel nothing. That was the real victory. Not the bestsellers, not the awards, not even the third book deal. The victory was indifference. My phone buzzed. A text from my girlfriend, Amanda. We'd met at a literary conference 8 months ago. She was a poet, brilliant and kind, with eyes that saw through pretense to the truth beneath. Dinner still on. I'm making that pasta you love, absolutely. Be home in 20. Home. The word still felt new, precious. We'd moved in together last month, and every morning I woke up grateful. Grateful for someone who celebrated my success without envy, who understood my need for silence without taking it personally, who laughed with me, never at me. The contrast to what I'd had before was stark, but I'd needed what happened with Sarah, needed to be broken down to rebuild stronger, needed the pain to find my voice, needed the silence to hear myself think. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost declined, but something made me answer. Marcus, it's Emma, Sarah's friend. Well, former friend, I remembered her, the one who'd started the dare. Hi, Emma. I'm sorry to call out of the blue. I got your number from... It doesn't matter. I just wanted to say something, and then I'll never bother you again. Okay, I'm getting married next month. She paused. And I've been thinking about toasts, you know? What I want to say. And I realized I want to tell a story about the worst thing I ever did. About the night I dared Sarah to fake breakup with you. I said nothing, waiting. I'm going to tell them what happened after. How you left. How you disappeared. How Sarah fell apart. How I realized I'd helped destroy something real because I thought it was funny. And I'm going to tell them why I'm telling them this story. Why are you telling them? Because I want everyone at my wedding to understand something. Words matter. Actions matter. Cruelty dressed up as fun is still cruelty. And sometimes you don't get to apologize. Sometimes the person walks away and never looks back, and that's their right, and you have to live with what you've done. My throat felt tight. Emma, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I learned something. That what happened changed me. I'm a better person now because I had to face what I'd done, so thank you. For writing those books. For not letting us forget. Emma, I didn't write them for revenge. I know. That's what makes them so powerful. She was quiet for a moment. Are you happy? Yeah, I am. Are you? Getting there. Congratulations on the new book, by the way. I heard it's about love after loss. About finding someone who sees you. It is. I'm glad you found that. Really. Goodbye, Marcus. Goodbye, Emma. I stood there for a moment, phone in hand, watching the sunset paint the city gold. Then I headed upstairs to where Amanda was waiting, where home was waiting. That night, after dinner and wine and laughter, she curled up beside me on the couch. You're quiet, she observed. Good writing day or bad writing day? Strange day. I told her about Emma's call. Amanda was quiet for a moment, processing. How did that feel? Weird, cathartic maybe? Like a chapter actually closing. I pulled her closer. I spent so long angry, then hurt, then healing. But I don't think I ever really forgave them. Not Sarah, not her friends, not any of it. Do you want to? Did I? I thought about the boy I'd been, quietly hurting in that office while they laughed. About the man in the mountains bleeding pain onto pages. About who I'd become. Someone who'd transformed suffering into art, who'd helped others find their own courage. I think, I said slowly, I already have. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about me letting go. And I let go a long time ago. I just didn't realize it. Amanda kissed my cheek. You're kind of wise for a writer. Writers aren't wise. We just have time to think about our mistakes. Speaking of... She sat up, eyes twinkling with mischief. I dare you to do something. My heart skipped. What? I dare you to marry me. I stared at her. What? You heard me. Amanda Chen proposes to Marcus Webb. Right here, right now. What do you say? For a moment I was back in that office, hearing those words, I dare you, and feeling my world crack open. But this was different. Everything was different. This was someone who knew my story, all of it, and loved me, not despite it, but including it. Someone who understood that I'd always write, always need silence, always carry the scars of that night. Someone who saw my darkness and didn't flinch. I say yes. I kissed her, deep and true. I say absolutely yes, she pulled back, grinning. That was easier than I thought. Did you think I'd say no? I thought you might be traumatized by dares. I laughed, really laughed, the kind of laugh that comes from joy, not cruelty. Some dares are worth taking, when they come from the right person. We got married 3 months later, small ceremony, just family and close friends. Tom was my best man. Margaret cried through the whole thing. My agent, who'd negotiated a six-figure deal for my fourth book, gave a toast about how I'd turned pain into profit, but more importantly, into purpose. I didn't invite Sarah. Didn't even tell her. That chapter was closed, but she found out, of course. Sent a card to my publisher's office. Just 2 lines. Congratulations on your wedding. I'm glad you found your happy ending. I showed it to Amanda. She read it, nodded, and said, "Should we send a thank you card? What would we say? Thank you for breaking his heart so thoroughly that he had to become whole to survive." I laughed. That might be too honest. Honesty is your brand, babe. We didn't send a card. But I did do something else. The fourth book, The Laughter After, came out on our first anniversary. It was about second chances, about finding love when you didn't think you could trust again, about the difference between someone who laughs at you and someone who laughs with you. I dedicated it for Amanda, who dared me to be happy again. It outsold the first 3 books combined. 5 years after that dinner party, almost to the day I did an interview for a major magazine, the journalist, a sharp woman who'd clearly done her research, asked the inevitable question, "Do you ever regret walking out? Do you wonder what would have happened if you'd stayed, worked through it?" I thought about parallel universes, about the version of me who'd swallowed his hurt, accepted the joke, stayed in that relationship, who'd probably still be calling his writing a hobby, making himself smaller to fit someone else's image of who he should be. Not for a second, I said. Walking out was the best decision I ever made. Not because it made me successful, though it did, but because it taught me something crucial. I mattered. My feelings mattered. My dignity mattered. And I was worth more than being someone's punchline. What would you say to people in similar situations, where the relationship isn't abusive, just diminishing? I'd say pay attention to how you feel, to how often you make yourself smaller, to whether your partner builds you up or tears you down, even subtly, even as a joke. And I'd say it's okay to walk away. Even if they don't understand, even if no one else understands, you don't owe anyone your unhappiness. And to Sarah, if she's reading this, I smiled. I hope she's happy. I hope she's learned. I hope she's become someone who would never make that dare again. And I hope she knows that I don't hate her. I just moved on to something better. That interview went viral. When She Laughed trended again 5 years later. A whole new generation discovered the books. Book clubs debated. Podcasts analyzed. College courses taught the first novel alongside texts on emotional abuse and relationship dynamics. But the most meaningful response came in a letter, handwritten, forwarded through my publisher. "Dear Marcus, you don't know me. I'm a 24-year-old guy who was in a relationship with someone who treated me the way Sarah treated you. For 3 years, I let her dismiss my dreams, mock my interests, and make me feel stupid for having feelings. Then I read your book, and I left. It's been 6 months. I'm living with my brother, working a job I love, writing music again. I'm me again. Thank you for showing me that walking away isn't weakness. It's strength. Thank you for writing those words when you were hurting so I could read them when I was hurting. Thank you for mattering." I kept that letter, framed it, hung it in my office next to my first book cover because that's why we tell our stories. Not for revenge, not for vindication, but so someone else somewhere feels less alone, feels braver, feels seen. 10 years after that night, Amanda and I sat on our porch in the Berkshires. We'd bought the cabin from Tom, expanded it, made it ours, watching our daughter play in the yard. "Tell me the story," Maya said, climbing into my lap. She was 5, curious, full of questions. "Which story, baby?" "How you became a writer." Amanda smiled. We'd agreed to tell her when she was old enough to understand. Maybe 5 wasn't old enough, but Maya was wise beyond her years. "Once upon a time," I began, "I was in a relationship with someone who didn't see me clearly, who didn't understand that words can hurt, even when you're laughing. And one day she made a joke that broke my heart. What did you do?" I left, I walked away. And it was the hardest, scariest, best thing I ever did. Why? Because it taught me something important. I deserved better. And once I learned that, everything changed. I found my voice. I wrote my stories. I met your mom. I became happy. Do you hate the lady who made the joke? No, baby. I don't hate her. I learned from her. Sometimes the people who hurt us teach us the most important lessons. What we won't accept, what we deserve, who we want to be. Maya thought about this seriously. I'm glad she made the joke. You are? Why? Because if she didn't, you wouldn't be here. and I wouldn't be here. Sometimes bad things make good things happen. I looked at Amanda, who was wiping her eyes. When did our kid get so smart? She gets it from me, Amanda said. The wisdom or the brutal honesty? Both. That night, after Maya was asleep, I opened my laptop. Started typing. Not a new book. I'd finished the draft of number 7 last week. Just thoughts, reflections. A journal entry that might become something more. It's been 10 years since I walked out that door. 10 years since I heard her laugh while saying the words that ended us. 10 years since I chose myself. People ask if I'm grateful it happened. I am. Not because I'm vindictive, but because I'm honest. That pain carved me into someone real. That silence taught me to listen to myself. That ending gave me a beginning. I'm a husband now. A father. A writer who's told stories that mattered, that helped people, that changed lives, including my own. Would I go back and change it? Stop Sarah from making the dare? Stop myself from leaving? Never. Because this life, this beautiful, hard-won, authentic life, only exists because I had the courage to walk away from a life that was killing me quietly. To anyone reading this who's in their own version of that office, hearing their own version of that laughter, you matter. Your feelings matter. Your dreams matter. And you deserve someone who understands that. Walk away if you need to. Stay silent if you need to. Heal however you need to heal. And then, when you're ready, when you're whole, when you're yourself again, find the people who celebrate you, not diminish you. Who laugh with you, never at you. Who see your light and want to make it brighter. They're out there. I found mine. You will too. I saved the document. Closed the laptop. Walked out to the porch where Amanda sat watching the stars. Finished? She asked. For tonight. I sat beside her, took her hand. Thank you. For what? For daring me to be happy. And meaning it. She smiled, squeezed my hand. Best dare I ever made. In the house behind us, our daughter dreamed. In the mountains around us, the night breathed. And in my chest, where something had broken a decade ago, there was only wholeness. Some endings are really beginnings. Some laughs echo forever. But some fade into silence, and sometimes, walking away is the bravest thing you'll ever do. When She Laughed While Leaving by Marcus Webb became a cultural phenomenon, selling over 10 million copies worldwide and inspiring countless people to examine their relationships, value their worth, and find the courage to choose themselves. Marcus Webb went on to write 12 novels, all exploring themes of dignity, healing, and the courage it takes to start over. He lives in Massachusetts with his wife Amanda, their daughter Maya, and far too many books.